When women come to me and say, I just want my work to speak for itself, or I don't want to have to sell myself, I know exactly why they keep getting overlooked. Because in today's market, how you explain your experience matters. How you tell your story matters. How you communicate your value matters just as much as what you've done. And most women were never taught how to do that strategically. And let me be clear about what I mean by storytelling. This is not hype, exaggeration, or personal branding theater. Strategic storytelling is about signal. It's about being clear about the things that you've done that matter most to the person you're speaking to. It's about making it easy for a decision maker to understand what you're good at, where you fit, and why you're a safe bet for this role or this work. If they have to work to connect the dots, you lose them. The role is going to go to someone else. When I was building my tech startup in my 20s, I was chief everything officer. Sales, customer success, product vision, partnerships, hiring, fundraising. I wore every hat. And then when I wound the company down and started job searching, I was very overwhelmed because when I was telling my story about my tech startup days and what I did, I couldn't just say, I did everything. That's not a role. That's chaos. I really had to decide and get clear on what do I want to do next for someone else's company, for someone else's business, and how do I tell that version of my tech startup founder story. And at first, I wasn't really sure what I wanted. I knew I was burnt out, so I didn't want to go into an outbound heavy sales role. So I started in customer success to lean into my ability to manage relationships. And I tried customer success, individual contributor role at first, and then a founding sales and customer success lead role, and then a director of customer success and customer support role, and then finally a growth account executive role at a publicly traded software company. And to get me into each one of those roles, I had to tell the most relevant version of my founder story and why that previous role wasn't necessarily a good fit. Hiring managers were buying the version of my story that I knew was most relevant to them. And here's what I realized. Nothing about my skills changed. What changed was how I told the story. I told the story that was the best fit for what they were looking for. Every time I moved, I had to ask, what does this decision maker actually care about? A head of customer success cares about client retention and expansion and customer trust. I told those stories from my startup days. And then a sales leader cares about revenue generated, pipeline creation, closing behavior and experience. And an executive cares about risk, revenue, and leadership under pressure. The mistake most women make is telling a complete story, a data dump story, instead of a targeted, relevant story. Decision makers don't want data dumps. They don't want every responsibility you've ever had, or a chronological download of your career, or every single software you've ever used. They want a clear, honest story that's actually relevant to them and the role that they want to fill. They want to be able to say, I know where to place her, and I trust what she says she's going to do in this seat. That's what storytelling actually does. This is exactly what I teach my clients to do. We don't create one generic story. We write the most magnetic version of their story based on the specific role, the specific company, and the specific decision maker. Same experience, different emphasis, clear signal. That is how women are getting chosen faster without pretending to be someone they're not. So here's the reframe I want you to take with you. If you don't shape your story, someone else will, and their version will not be nearly as compelling. And it might not be true. No one knows your story as well as you do. Strategic storytelling isn't self-promotion. It's not exaggeration. It's career leadership. It's self-care for your career. It's respecting how decisions actually get made. It's respecting the interests of the person across the table from you. You don't need to become more impressive. You need to become easier to choose. Before I sign off, I just want to call out the biggest mistake I see women making when they are job searching. They want to skip informal conversations. They don't want to reach out to the people that they don't know. They don't want to ask anyone for their time. They don't want to ask for favors. They want to be ultra independent during a process that actually requires gathering as much information as possible from as many different people as possible. Clarity comes from conversations. Job searching is not a solo sport. And the women who get the best outcomes, they're the most informed. They're the most clear. They have the best information. In the next video, I am going to show you how to get yourself into strategic informal conversations that actually create opportunities, why avoiding them keeps women stuck, and how client-facing women use conversations to get pulled into roles instead of chasing them. If you've been trying to do this alone, this video is going to change how you approach the entire process. I'll see you in the next episode.